Do you want to know what's happening around the world of sports? Look no further than The Bench with your host, Blaine Ool.
It's Friday, people, and we're back with another episode of The Bench. We open up with some NCAA basketball games that have had some serious heat and upsets written all over them. Here's the AP Top 10, but please expect this to change by next week. At number 1, we have Louisville, followed by 2 and 3, Kansas and Ohio State. Maryland sits at 4. At 5, the Maize and Blue in Michigan. 6 is Gonzaga. At 7, we have Duke. 8 is Kentucky, followed by 9, Virginia, and number 10, Oregon, wraps up the top 10. Now we bring you some of those upsets that we talked about at the very beginning. Michigan got defeated by Illinois 71-62. Maryland got beat by Penn State 76-69. And number 1 Louisville lost to Texas Tech 70-57. Number 14 Dayton got a nice 10-point victory over St. Mary's as they continue to do really well this season. Lightning fast, Lamar Jackson and the 11-2 Ravens took on Sam Darnold and the 5-8 Jets. This game would be no different than the last few games for the Ravens as they would start out fast and never look back. The final would be 42-21 as the Ravens clinch their playoff spot. The boys basketball team will host Xenia tonight here at Garbary Gymnasium. The student section theme is Camo. Come out and support. Our wrestlers headed to Wayne in the first meet of the year. They would take a tough loss to Wayne 78-6. As Lance Reeves Hicks clashed with Wayne wrestler Jacob Paldea, who had just won state the prior year. Braden Offenbacher would get the only win for the team against Wayne on the night. The team then faced off against Xenia, where they were able to score some more points. Andrew Hollopeter would get a nice win with a pin, but overall the Indians lost that one 46-36 against the Xenia Buccaneers. The wrestling team will head to the Edgewood Invitational this weekend, a Friday and Saturday meet. Now we're going to take a look at the NCAA Top 10 wrestling schools and matchups coming up this weekend. At number 1, we have Iowa Hawkeyes, followed by Nebraska. Penn State sits at 3, Arizona State at 4, 5 is Virginia Tech, 6 is NC State, Ohio State claims that 7th seed, Wisconsin is at 8, Oklahoma State at 9, and Pittsburgh rounds out the top 10. Here are some of the top upcoming duels. January 6th, Ohio State versus Arizona State on Fox Sports 1. January 5th, Michigan versus Oregon on the Big Ten Network. December 18th, Wisconsin versus Kent State. Nebraska versus Oregon State on FS1. The Midland Championships will be on December 29th and the 30th this year. Here are some other headlines around the world of wrestling. Nebraska finished first overall at the Cliff King Las Vegas Nationals. Ohio State finished second. There are 9 Big Tens currently ranked in the top 25, with Rutgers receiving votes for the overall top 25 for the wrestling. One of the biggest duels this season saw Virginia Tech wrestle Ohio State in Columbus. 2-time Ohio State champion from Graham, Brent Moore scored a huge pinfall victory for the Hokies as Virginia Tech beat Ohio State 21-15 in the biggest upset of the season so far. Some of the college football awards were handed out, this week and up to this weekend, as we just name a few. The Davey O'Brien Award for the National QB was handed out to LSU quarterback Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow also brought home the Outstanding Senior Quarterback, the Johns Unitas Golden Arm Award. Chase Young brought home the Ted Hendricks Award for Top Defensive End in college football. Isaiah Simmons from Clemson took home the Dick Butkus Award for the best linebacker in college football. And Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert won the Top Scholar Athlete Award. As we go back up to college wrestling, a sport that I don't really follow much or really know a whole lot about, to be honest. But, I know AJ's involved with coaching wrestling, and he's big time into wrestling. So I always love, talking to him about that, learning new stuff about the sport. And this morning, we came in, or last night, and I was just kind of shocked to see how many Big Ten schools are dominating this year in the college wrestling world. I believe there's 4 in the top 10, nationally, and then there's 9 total in the top 25. That's hard to do, to have 9 schools in the top 25 just from the Big Ten alone. That's 9 spots that, could be filled by anybody in the country, but, those Big Ten teams are just in there dominating. I've always felt that, kind of Big Ten was a wrestling, program. Like, they've always had good wrestlers come through Ohio State. Every year I see somebody good at Penn State. This year, Nebraska's in there. Iowa's up there. So, the Big Ten wrestling, programs are being extremely dominant this year. Nobody has really ever seen this. Nobody is even close to doing what they're doing this year as far as many teams in the top 25 and the top 10. Yeah, AJ just told me Penn State has won the last 4 national championships. That's 4 years now, which is complete and utter dominance on the mat. That's and he also just said that they have won from 2011 to 2014, which is 4 more years in between there. So that's like 8 years, and a total of like 10 or 11 years, which is just crazy to think that only 3 of those years they didn't win it, and they were probably in there, would be my guess. They just weren't able to pull it out. I never really knew Penn State as being that good. I knew they were always good. I would always see highlights of them. I know they're always up there, but that's just extreme dominance to the next level, on the mats. As far as some of the other schools on there that I remember, there's a couple ACC schools. NC State, Pittsburgh was on there. I'm going to have to, definitely tune into some of those duels that are coming up. I saw Ohio State on there. I'm a big Ohio State fan. I'm not sure how they are at wrestling this year, but they're in the top 10, so that's going to be cool to watch them. They, as we did report, they did take that early loss to Virginia Tech, though, which was kind of, out of the usual. But I believe Virginia Tech is an extremely good ACC wrestling school, which is, not uncommon. And, those big duels are coming up, those big matches. It's fairly early in the season, if I am right, AJ. So, yeah, super early. So some of the, Big Ten are actually the top wrestling schools with the most national championship wins. It's narrowed down to 3 teams, with Penn State has 9, followed by Iowa with 23, and then Oklahoma State has 34, I believe you said, AJ? 34 total titles. Is just crazy to think that, they've been dominating the wrestling world for that long. I did not see them in the top 10. I'm not sure if they're ranked in the top 25 this year, but, they still have that on everyone else. 34, and then, of course, Penn State, winning those last 8 in the last 10 years. I don't know why you wouldn't want to go wrestle for them. I'm not really sure who the coach is, but Cael Sanderson. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He's been there, done that. He's the only wrestler to ever go undefeated in college all 4 years. Never lost a match. So he's been there, he has done that, and he's doing something right, bringing in those wrestlers to the future Nittany Lions as they continue to surge for more national championships. Yeah, AJ just told me again that from 1995, which is maybe not back for some of you, but that's way back for me. It wasn't even close to being alive. Up till now, there has only been 1 non-Big Ten team to win the national championship in between then. And he said that was Iowa State from 2003, Oklahoma State from 2003 to 2006. So if you just think about that, 1995 to 2019, we're not sure who's going to win it this year. As we can predict, it's going to be some sort of Big Ten school, possibly Ohio State, Penn State, because they've dominated recently. But, that just goes to show the Big Ten's dominance for, 20 plus years in the college wrestling field. To win that many championships is pretty astonishing, to be honest with you. With that being said, it's Friday. It's episode 15 of The Bench. We have a boys basketball game tonight. I want to see everybody out there getting loud. We got to get this big first win, get some momentum going for them. With that being said, I'll be back reporting to you on Monday with your World of Sports. I am your host, Blaine Uhl. This has been The Bench, and I hope you have a great weekend.